Hi guys, it's Night Fear, and today I am coming on to do my part 4 wrap-up for Queers Gone By. I know it's been a little while since I've done a wrap-up, but I've been trying to read for the news, and for Queers Gone By, plus we just had Femme Fatale, which I failed miserably, and you'll see that in a video here soon. But for now, I wanted to share with you what I read for this next woman, and I had some really great reading in this one, and I had some really disappointing reading in this one, so I'll let you know. And this one was for Edith Craig, and this was Molly at Buy Bookish Babe's pick, or one of her picks. She had 3, so I still have, I'm almost done with her next one, so hopefully that'll be filmed in the next few days. So, but anyway, let me go ahead and let you know about what I read and a little bit about Edith Craig. So, as you know, if you guys have been watching, for the very first challenge for each one of these, it's to read a book written or set during the person's lifetime. And this one was set between 1869 and 1947. But I chose, here, let's do this. I chose The Orphan Train by Christina Baker Klein. Now, this one was set during that time, but it was also set during recent time, because what it is it's 2 stories kind of similar, but not similar feelings and things like that, but it is about 2 women, well, one girl coming into womanhood and a woman, an older woman, set in current times, and the young girl is a foster child and is having a lot of problems, and she ends up doing work for this older woman who, when she was younger, was on the orphan train. And so we get flashbacks of the older woman on the orphan train, and then we get, the story of what's going on today. So this was really interesting, and I did read the author's note at the back, which I always recommend, especially for historical fiction, because you get a lot of information about the times and how what the author found out and how they found out things and stuff like that. So, but she basically did a lot of research about people that were on the orphan trains and kind of compiled them for this story, which was, it's kind of a sad story in a way. But yeah, I would highly recommend this, especially if you like historical fiction. And since it did happen in the United States, that is, part of our history for those of us that live here. So, and I gave this 4 stars. It was a little slow at times, but overall, I really did enjoy that. So, okay, so that's enough for the Kindle, so I can put that over there. Okay, so the next one was read a book about suffragettes. And this one is because Edith was an early pioneer of the women's suffrage movement in England and was involved in suffrage groups, selling newspapers on behalf of the cause. Now, for this one, I read The Invention of Wings by Sue Monk Kidd. This one took me forever to read, and I don't know why. I really did enjoy this book, but for some reason, it's just like when I got into it, but if for some reason I had to stop, it was hard for me to get back into. It makes absolutely no sense, I know. But this is a story, it's 2 perspectives. It is from a slave's perspective and from a Southern girls into woman's perspective. And they live in South Carolina? No. North Carolina. Why can I never keep these Carolinas straight? Charleston is South Carolina, right? So I was right the first time. They live in South Carolina. This is where the story starts. Now, this is a fictional story, but once again, I read the author's note, and a lot of it is actual history, but she's thrown in some things to make the book a book. But this is about, I'm horrible with names, Sarah and Angelina Grimke. And they actually were, a lot of this is abolitionist history, but because her and her sister, Sarah and Angelina, were abolitionists, they ended up bringing in and writing things about the suffragette movement also. And this was, what'd they say, 10 years, I think, before anybody else had started it. And her sister and her sister's husband, so Sarah, Angelina, and Angelina's husband, actually wrote the pamphlet that, see, I should have marked this. But one of the people of, hold on, let me scan real quick, because I really wanted to share this with you. Okay, oh yeah, Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott. 10 years before the Seneca Falls Convention. So, and they wrote, the pamphlet that they wrote was American Slavery as It Is. And that they wrote about the slavery and everything. And I think there was another pamphlet they wrote that was inspired. But they also wrote that before Uncle Tom's Cabin. So they were, that's 15 years before Uncle Tom's Cabin. And I have never heard of these sisters. And it's just amazing the people that she met. She had actually met Lucretia Mott, who, with Elizabeth Cady Stanton, was one of the forerunners for the suffragette movement. And there was also things going on in Charleston with Denmark Vesey, who had plotted to burn down Charleston during this time. But anyway, so if you ever read this book, I highly recommend you read her author's notes, because she really goes into great detail about the sisters and what's true and what's not. And the slave that she puts in here is named Hetty, which she named her Handful because the way she explains it in the book is the masters gave the name, and then the parent, the mom, also gave a name, and the name that the mom gave was usually interesting. So Hetty's name is Handful, and so usually she's referred to as Handful in the book. And Hetty actually existed, but did not live out her life like it is in the book. So at the beginning part of it, probably some things may have happened, but towards the end it couldn't have happened because Hetty wasn't around. So, but I mean, this book is very difficult. It does go into some slavery issues. It goes into punishment of slaves. She wrote about the revolt, about plans and things, and she just went into great detail of Sarah's life. She did, like I said, there are some things that she goes into detail in the author's note, a lot of the things that she fictionalized for the book, but she did take a lot of things that were true also. So I think you get a kind of an idea of what may have been going through her head, maybe, but you definitely get a sense of the time. And it was a very good book, very sad. I did give it 4 stars because of the reason of that I just couldn't get back into it when I wasn't not reading it, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I would highly, highly recommend this, like I said, especially if you like historical fiction. So yeah, that one was a good one. Okay, now on to the one that wasn't so great. So this is to read a play, a book of plays, or a banned book. So I chose a banned book. And this is because Edith founded the Pioneer Players, a theatre society in London known for producing formally banned plays, plays on social humanism, women's suffrage, and feminism. So, she sounded like a really an amazing woman. So anyway, so for this one, I chose Bridge to Terabithia by Catherine Patterson. I had never read this book. I think I've watched the movie, but I don't really remember it too much. But I gave this book 3 stars. It wasn't very long, but it just wasn't... And I did listen, because I started to read it, and I just couldn't get through it. So I ended up listening to it on audiobook. And this book is not quite what I thought it was going to be. I don't know. I didn't like it, and it's about 2 kids, a boy and a girl, who get to know each other and become friends. That's basically the book. It's not what I thought the book was. Yeah, so I don't want to tell you too much because I don't want to spoil it for you. But from what I remember, I thought the movie was more fantastical, maybe, or maybe I'm just thinking about it wrong. I don't know, but it's not. It's not that at all. So... But yeah, so that's 3 stars. So that was disappointing. Okay, then the next one is to read a book about fashion costume. And this is because Edith was a prolific theater director. She was a director, a producer, and costume designer, noted for her expertise in historical accurate costumes, and became a dressmaker as Edith Craig and Company in Covent Garden in 1903. That's kind of cool. Now for this one, I was going to read The Devil Wears Prada, because I do own that book. And I did start it. I just couldn't get into it. It's not that I'm DNFing it forever. I couldn't get into it, and I've been having a lot of problems reading books lately, of wanting to read, so I just knew that that was going to add to that. And I had another book that was about a seamstress / tailor, so I decided to do that one for this, and that is Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. Now this is a new release. It came out in July, I think, and this is a book that is definitely Project Runway meets Mulan. And it is good. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait for the second one to come out. And yes, I know this one just came out, but I really want to read the second one. So I gave this one 5 stars. And this is about a girl whose father is a tailor. It is an Asian-inspired fantasy. And like I said, it's kind of Mulan-ish. Because she ends up dressing as a boy to help her father. But, so, her father is a tailor, and she has a gift, but women are not allowed to be tailors. They can be seamstresses that just kind of sew a little bit, mend and stuff like that, but they can't own their own shop. They can't, really sell their things. It's just not done. And her, some things happen to her brother. She has 3 brothers. And then the emperor decides, I think he's referred to as emperor. I can't remember now. If it's emperor, I think it's emperor. It might be king. Maybe it's king. But anyway, he needs a new tailor because he's getting ready to get married. And so he summons her father because at one time he was one of the best tailors. And her father is sickly, and so she decides, instead of risking her father's life, that she will dress like a boy and go to this trial. The Project Runway part of it is not very long. It is in there, and it is really good and very cutthroat, and I really enjoyed it. But it's not as long as I would have liked. But then after that, she goes on another adventure, which is really good. There is a hate to love, well, not really hate, maybe an annoyance to love in this. But it's, I don't know, I can't explain it. I just really, 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 really enjoyed it. I'm very glad that I read it, and it fit this challenge perfectly because, you know, fashion costumes, that kind of thing. So, yeah. But yeah, and don't you just love that cover? The hawk in the background. It's just gorgeous. Gorgeous! But yeah, definitely recommend Spend the Dawn. If you're curious about it and were thinking about reading it, I definitely would highly recommend. Okay, so the last one is to read a translated book. And for this one, it's that from 1915, Edith and the Pioneer Players produced foreign plays in English. So she basically, you know, they were dealing with translated plays. So for this one, I picked The Little Prince by Antony de Saint-Exupéry. I know I totally butchered that name, but anyway, I had never read this. I believe, watched a cartoon about this, but I did not enjoy this book. I gave it 3 stars. It's told from the pilot's perspective. Basically, what happens is a pilot crashes and ends up meeting this little prince. And the cartoon that I saw, I think, was from the little prince's perspective. But the little prince is in search of something. He left his little planet. And they end up meeting. And it's just not, I don't know. I didn't enjoy this. Which makes me sad, because I remember enjoying the little short cartoon thing that I watched. So, but yeah, I don't want to, because it's very, very short, so I don't want to say a lot in case if you want to read it and you enjoy it. But yeah, I just didn't like it. So anyway, there's the books that I read for Edith Craig. And like I said, that's part 4, so I still have a lot to read in this. I'm definitely not going to finish it before the readathon is up this month. But like I said in a couple of other videos, I'm going to continue because I'm having a lot of fun. And things like The Invention of Wings, I'm not sure I would have ever read. Just because it's something I probably would have never really noticed. Not because I actually enjoy historical fiction, but there's so many books that sometimes if you don't actively go searching for them, and especially since that's an older book, I might not have ever read that. And that book I'm going to be thinking about for a while, and you know, the impact of it, and learning new things, and learning, you know, a little bit more about our history. That's why I like doing readathons, because I would never read books like that. So I'm going to continue, of course. It won't be, I will not have succeeded in those challenges, but in a way I will have, because I will have found new books, if that makes any sense. Plus, I really like the way they did this. I like also learning about all these queer women. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah, and I hope they do this again next year, because it was a very creative way, and like I said, just learning about new things. So, all right, guys, thank you very much. I'm going to link my playlist down below in case you want to see any of my TBR videos or my other wrap-up videos. I have a playlist for Queers Gone By. And I will be back with 2 more videos today, because I have another wrap-up for Newt, some more classes that I finished, and like I said, the Femme Fatale wrap-up, which I failed miserably, and I'm so sad about that, because I was really wanting to do well, but it's okay. I'm reading books, and that's all that matters. So anyway, guys, thank you all for coming, and please remember to always be kind to each other, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!